Since the conception of high-intensity training, Casey Viator has been in the forefront of the exercise industry, being the youngest man to win the Mr. America contest, winning 2 IFBB Pro Championships and placing in the top 5 during his Mr. Olympia years. The following is an interview between Casey Viator and Brian D. Johnston. Brian, how old were you when you first started training? Casey responds, I was 13 years old when I started training. I inherited a barbell set from my uncle and started training in my parents' garage. My progress was steady, but I felt limited. I joined an Olympic training center and started doing basic Olympic lifts. I feel this was the beginning of my learning how to handle heavy weights properly. I joined the bodybuilding gym and went on to win local and state bodybuilding shows. Brian, did you continue Olympic lifting during your bodybuilding career, and why or why not? Casey responds, I've always used Olympic lifts to test my all-around fast twitch responses. I continued using them because I believe in all-around athletic ability and functional muscle. Brian, your work with Jones began in the late 1960s. If I remember correctly, how did that come about? What are your views of being part of the Nautilus Golden Era? And when and why did you break ties with Jones? Casey responds, I met Arthur at the Senior Mr. America competition in Culver City, California. I was 18 years old and placed 3rd overall. I was very pleased with my placing and looked forward to winning the overall show the following year. Arthur saw my potential and we talked about training in Florida for next year's competition. It was great working with prototypes of future Nautilus machines, and I had a say in what worked and what did not. We worked very hard in 1970 and 1971 to get the bugs worked out of these prototypes. I was more or less on 24-hour call to check out new ideas and make sure the machines felt right. I do describe in detail many of these questions you are asking in my new book, Casey Viator, Total Fitness. People who are interested in a more in-depth explanation can refer to my book. I left Nautilus and Arthur Jones basically because I had a great need to compete again. This is in the latter part of 1978. Mr. Jones did not want me to compete anymore, and I felt I had what it took to win Pro IFBB shows, which I did win too, the Pro Grand Prix in 1980, and also took 3rd in the 1982 Mr. Olympia, so I think I proved my point. There was also a problem with my wages, which we fought over repeatedly, so I felt it was time to move on. Brian, compare the progress you made prior to this time and while training with Jones. Did you find that Jones's methods of HIIT benefited you? Casey responds, I made great progress in 1970 and 1971. Arthur did teach me a lot pre-exhausting muscles and about the difference in indirect and direct movements. My book is based upon these pre-exhaustion theories and proper sequences of exercises. HIIT was something I was doing before I met Arthur, but he definitely put the finishing touches on my understanding about high-intensity training. Brian, describe a typical HIIT workout you performed, including pre-workout motivation, exercise, etc., and relay any training stories you think our readers would find interesting. Casey responds, most of my workouts consisted of whole body workouts, starting with lower body and working outward to the smaller muscles such as arms and calves. These workouts were performed rapidly, and you had to get used to this type of intensity. Most people in the beginning would get sick. It was like getting a form of oxygen debt. Your heart and lungs are pulling all the oxygen in you need, but your circulatory system just cannot distribute the massive amounts of oxygen properly. What ends up happening is your blood gets too rich in oxygen and you get dizzy and sick to your stomach if you push too hard. So many trainers had to adjust their training for 1 month. A good indication is to monitor your pulse rate. If your pulse gets too high, you're getting close to your limit for that training session. Many buckets were put around our training area just in case somebody lost it. Brian, did you continue HIIT style training after your time with Jones? Casey, absolutely. This technique is what my physique was built upon. Brian, that's an interesting point considering many magazines had you performing 12 or more sets per muscle group, training 5 to 6 days a week, apparently propaganda to enforce the volume style of training. Do you recommend HIIT today and explain your current training method? Casey responds, I use HIIT in every workout and also advise people on my website to train in this fashion as well. My training has not changed in years, and usually I do a 2-day on, 1 day off, 2-day on, weekdays off. For example, Monday, chest, biceps, calves. Tuesday, shoulders, full leg workout, Wednesday off. Thursday, upper and lower back, triceps, calves. Friday, priority day, which is working body parts that are lagging behind to improve your symmetry. My workouts last no more than 45 minutes to 1 hour, so I'm moving fast to complete everything. Many of my clients follow the same routine, although the whole body workouts are still recommended for extra growth inroads. Brian, besides being the youngest person in history to win the Mr. America, you're also well known for the Colorado experiment. Casey responds, this is a very lengthy question, and it must be cross-referenced in my book. The study was a lesson in muscle memory, and in-depth parts are described fully. Brian, several years ago, there appeared an article in Muscle and Fitness entitled Casey Comes Clean. In this article, you discussed the Colorado experiment with Arthur Jones and how you gained over 60 pounds of muscle. In the article, you downplayed HIIT training, saying you needed more volume than 3 days per week, and that he was sneaking in extra workouts on your own time. I'd be curious to know if that was a propaganda article or if that reflected your honest opinion. Casey responds, this pretty much was a propaganda article. I might have written 30% of what was printed. There was not any sneaking around doing extra exercise or sets. We were working at such a high level of intensity, no extra work was needed. We accomplished the study with great success, and my 60 pounds was done exactly the way we described it. We knew before the experiment started that I would gain that much weight, and nothing has been duplicated close to it since. Brian, I would like your opinion on some people. What thoughts come into your head when you hear the names Joe Weider, Arthur Jones, Dorian Yates, and Mike Mentzer? Casey, my opinions of people, let's try it. Joe Weider. Joe really helped me in the line of posing and muscle control. He would stop important meetings to help me. He was very patient and he had an eye for the right angles. His sessions usually left me in a pool of sweat and sore for 2 days, even if I was in top shape. Posing affects the muscles that training cannot touch. It also is great for definition. Arthur Jones. This man changed the way the average person looked at exercise, with machines and theories which were drastically needed in the 70s. The get-in, get-out training method turned millions onto exercise. He is still a close friend of mine. I still see him or call him from time to time. He's definitely a great promoter and a perfect example of a self-educated man. Dorian Yates. I've known Dorian since the early 80s. He's a very personable champion and a great bodybuilder, a technician. Mike Mentzer. Although we have our differences in opinion about methods, Mike has helped a lot of people to understand the HIIT theory. Brian, did you find the training for the Colorado experiment or during your Nautilus years optimum, or would you have done things differently if provided another chance? Casey responds, we had some of the first segment training machines ever. Hence my training was optimum for what I was doing. If I trained the same way for my pro shows, I don't think I would have done as well. The intensity stayed, but I employed a lot more Nautilus and HIIT muscles at all angles during my pro competition days. I did overtrain for these shows, but I feel that's the only way the muscles can look that refined. Brian, Arthur Jones made a similar comment about a person becoming lean, that in order to get cut, one has to overtrain, to paraphrase. What are your thoughts on the current direction taking with HIIT, as a much reduced volume and frequency as suggested by Mike Mentzer, as few as 1 to 2 sets every 5 to 7 days? Casey, I feel the theory is being overthought by several HIIT advocates, and it should stay simple. The beginner gets great gains from 1 set in a muscle group. When you compete professionally, you have to refine the muscles with intensity and variation of exercise. The theory of a person so trained that he only has to do 1 set in 7 days is only a pipe dream Arthur Jones and myself had 20 years ago. It's nice to talk about, but it won't happen. Brian, what is your stance on nutrition? For years we've heard about your intense training, but rarely on what you ate or what eating recommendations you consider appropriate. Casey, I'm a stickler to 60% protein, 30% carbohydrate, and 10% fat, and that's pretty much year-round. I have 6,000 clients worldwide that I adjust their diets and check their progress on exercise and diet every 3 months. I have special cases that don't apply, but most people come to me to lose fat and gain muscle, generally improve as a whole. I am very proud of the many results I accomplish through my students. Brian, can you relay a few case examples for our readers as to the progress they made? Casey responds, allow me to give you an example by providing a quote from my book. I had a client that had been training for several years before he sought my guidance. He came to me at a body weight of 190 pounds, moderately hard muscle-wise. He wanted desperately to get his body weight up to a hard 220 pounds. We trained very hard with emphasis on upper body mass. After 6 months of grueling workouts, I received a call from him saying that he had to stop training. I asked him why he would want to discontinue such great gains, and he replied that when he went to visit his mother, she didn't recognize him, which made her very upset. I laughed and said that was what you wanted and had strived so hard to achieve. I made the mistake of not taking Polaroids of him when he first started. However, when I looked at his old driver's license, I too didn't recognize him. Keep in mind, very little of the body weight that was gained was fat. His entire facial structure had changed with the muscular gain, even his posture. I always take photos of my clients now. Seeing them progress every day, you just do not see what a dramatic overall change 30 pounds of muscular body weight does to someone's overall look. If you apply 30 years of training and diet knowledge, these shocking results can even surprise your mother. Brian, it's apparent that you, as well as any top caliber athlete or bodybuilder, took anabolic steroids. How much do you feel they contributed to your progress? Casey, I don't encourage anyone to use steroids. However, if people do it under a physician's guidance. I do feel it gives you an edge. Remember Ben Johnston, 100-meter sprinter expelled for his steroid use? He looked like a bodybuilder, and he ran like he had been shot out of a cannon. If steroids didn't help him, it damn sure didn't hurt him. Brian, did you find that you became physiologically dependent on steroids during your competitive years, and did you incur any long-term side effects? Casey, steroids are used for a purpose. I know some people who take them just to attend a physique show, just to sit in the audience. Pro ball player, okay. Pro bodybuilders, okay. Casual use for no reason, definitely not. Brian, you have a new book on the market. Tell us about it and give us some insight as to its content. Casey responds, my book is geared for people of all walks of life, from beginning to intermediate through advanced. The topics I cover include proper sequence of exercise, pre-exhaustion with direct and indirect movements, working around injuries, HIIT, and nutrition and supplementation. There is also a large question and answer area for my clients over 15 years, which applies to all. And Casey's Tasties, recipes I've created to lean towards high protein, low fat diet. I have additional chapters on sticking points, training accessories, joint problems and remedies, and my personal biography, including my start in bodybuilding, competing, and worldwide seminars. I include my relationship with Arnold and Sergio, who made a life-changing impression on me, plus body fat and body type analysis. For more information, your readers can visit my website at www.caseyviator.com. Brian, what future plans do you have and what current projects occupy your time? Casey, I plan to write more publications on training and diet. Women's hips and symmetry seems to be my next project. This will be geared to balancing your physique with stereotyping your physique and adjusting diet with lots of priority training areas. I also plan to continue my internet personal training business, which is very successful. Brian, any last words of wisdom and encouragement for our readers? Casey, try not to overthink HIIT. Remember, there is no general routine for everyone. I try with my personal training business to individualize it in a simple way. Train intensely.